And welcome back to episode 77 of the Weekly Tech Rant with me, Jay.
And me, Carl.
Hey, Carl, how you doing?
I'm good. You?
Yes, not bad. It has been a crazy week, I think, for everybody on planet
It
Earth, has
has.
it not? Before we get into the Tech Rant this evening, I think it's only kind of fair to talk about what's going on in the world. I think it'd be a miss of us not to mention it, considering the horrific scenes that are happening in the Ukraine right now. Whilst we're having a laugh and a joke on the show tonight, of course, there are many people who are not having a laugh and a joke uh, in their lives at the moment, considering the suffering and the just barbaric actions that are happening there. And whilst we don't tend to get too political on this show, occasionally if the name Trump comes up, that's a whole different connotation. This situation is one that we're not going to laugh and joke about. So we won't be talking about any of the kind of stories this evening that maybe talk around any of the hacking or the information wars that are going on with Ukraine, because it's probably just not the right thing to be doing. I think it's not kind of it's a bit too sensitive. Do you agree, Carl?
Completely agree. Yep.
But with that said, of course, our thoughts and our support is out to the people of Ukraine, and of course, hopefully this situation and peace resumes back to that country soon, which at the moment seems a long way off. Right. With that in mind, then, Carl, let's get the show on the road this evening, because there has been quite a bit of news in the tech world this week, hasn't there? And just before we came on air, we finally got the invite to the Apple event, didn't we? That's coming out next week. So
Not
Apple
us
event.
personally, but
Well,
invites went
no.
out.
I think everybody in the world who accesses social media got a copy of the invite, didn't they?
They did, yeah.
So then, Carl, I'll let you have this one. Tell me, what is the event called next week?
Oh God, it's peak something or other, isn't it?
I put you on the
I
spot.
didn't write this down.
It is peak performance, and that is spelled
Peak performance.
P.
That was it.
Yeah, so that's peak as in PEEK, i.e., as in I'm peeking around the corner, as opposed to
Yeah.
peak as in high mountain. Interesting. I wonder what that's kind of alluding to. It's got the classic Apple logo, sort of almost going kind of sort of superimposed on itself, isn't it? Like a sort of a time warp into different small apples that are fading into the distance.
It's Apple AR, clearly.
Well, maybe it is. Maybe it is. I suspect not, considering it's just a standard spring show.
Well, yeah.
I mean, it's so March 8th. It's going to be 10 a.m. PST, which is what, 6 p.m. GMT, give or take. It is pre-recorded
sounds about
again.
right.
Yeah, pre-recorded again, coming from Apple Park. Pretty much, I guess, everything that we've seen over the last 2 years in terms of the polished performance that we are going to expect. Again, we have no idea what's coming. We'll talk more about that later on the rumor mill. But I wanted to get that covered this evening up front, because we've been talking about it for weeks on end, and there was a rumor that it might not happen, and then it's dropped now. But we also have got for you tonight, we're going to talk Steam Deck, Intel, Zendesk, malware. I'll come back to that. Lovelace, Game Pass or Sony Pass, whatever. Elon. And yes, we're going to talk about a ZX Spectrum, or what technically could be a ZX Spectrum, maybe not. And then we'll talk about the rumor mill, as always. So, Carl, kicking us off tonight then. The Steam Deck is real. It's alive, isn't it? People are getting them now.
It's alive. It's shipping. I still don't have a heads up of when mine's going to arrive. I'm still sometime after Q2, apparently. But yeah, it's actually finally shipping. It's arriving in reviewers' hands, in the general public's hands. I even saw something about, is it Gabe Newell? Obviously Valve's owner. Yeah. He was posting that he was bringing them people's doors in New Zealand, wasn't he?
He was, because that's why he's been kind of camped out, hasn't he, since the pandemic started. There was some kind of shocked looks on people's faces, wasn't there? Of this like bearded guy in a mask delivering stuff. It's like, that's not my usual postman.
Who are you?
Yeah. But yeah, it's real. It is. People are getting them, as you say. The emails have gone out. The shipping dates are out. You and I are on the list. Hopefully we're not anywhere near the top of the list. I really can't be doing with that right now. It's a little.
Don't have the money just now, but maybe a bit later.
No, I might be able to sell a kidney to get one, but yeah. But the one thing that won't be coming out though on launch is the official dock. So when they announced the Steam Deck, they said that it's going to have a dock with it that allow you to plug into, I guess, a monitor, TV, allow you to plug in
external displays, wired networking, USB, power, that usual kind of stuff.
Yeah, and also you could use it as a powered USB-C. You can also use another USB-C hub if you haven't got the official dock.
Yes,
but of course they'd like you to use the dock. And if I remember, wasn't that one of the great kind of like the videos they had was two people playing what looked like arcade-style joysticks, wasn't it? With the multi-button pads and stuff for Street Fighter. Well, that's not going to be there, is it? There's no word of that actually being launched yet.
No, they're saying it won't happen as early as we wanted, but we're excited to talk more about it soon and are planning to make them available in late spring.
Late
Hmm.
spring. Well,
What's late spring then when it's at home? Are we
well,
talking
yes. I mean, is
end of
that
March, into April?
well? I was just gonna say because here in the UK, technically, spring is kind of when the clocks change, isn't it? That's when we kind of roll
Yeah.
into spring here. So what's that? Usually around the last weekend in March.
Yeah.
Um, meteorologically, spring is here. I'm sure I read that somewhere. But
I
yeah,
think so.
I'm not too worried myself. I mean, the whole
I haven't
point of
or-
this the Steam Deck, yeah, is you gonna say sorry?
I haven't ordered a dock, so yeah.
No, I was just saying I have an ordered dock, and I'm not necessarily too worried about it. I mean, because it's a bit like the Switch, I suppose. You've got the full size Switch, haven't you? That can be
I have,
docked.
yeah. Yep.
I've got a Switch, the Lite, perfectly good thing. I don't see the need to plug that into a TV. The dock would be handy, I suppose, if we ever get to travel for work again, like we used to talk about. You could plug it in, but if you can also use the powered USB-C hub, then I
All
don't
you
see the
need, isn't
worry
it?
here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
say I have the dock for the Switch, but it's not plugged into anything other than power. It's sitting on my shelf over there. It's just a glorified stand for the Switch.
yeah. I guess it's one of those
It's
things.
not
I
plugged
suppose
into TV or anything like that.
some people will buy it, won't they?
Of
Others
course.
will not. Interestingly,
And
though,
there'll be
talking
plenty of third parties. It's just USB-C.
well, yeah, exactly. And talking of the Steam Deck, though, Valve also dropped a little bit of I want to call it a little bit of a play thing, didn't they, today on Steam? The Aperture Desk Job game has been released as a sort of a tech demo slash uh, getting used to the controls of the Steam Deck game,
Yeah.
which has a fantastic. I don't know how to phrase it. What's it? Game notes, I suppose, isn't it, on Steam?
Yeah.
So this is based on the world or the universe of Portal that Half Life technically exists in as well, doesn't it?
It
And
does.
you're working at the Aperture Labs, which, if you're familiar with the game Portal, is where they were set. And you have a desk job where you have to work and fix through what appears to be toilets, doesn't it? Which
Yeah.
I can't really get it, but basically you are testing and working on toilets and things like that. It's very odd. It was released today. The Valve Steam notes are quite funny. They make a point of saying it is not Portal 3. Lower your expectations. This is not a sequel to Portal. Now get ready to raise them slightly because it's in the expanded universe of these games. So yeah, this is not Portal 3. Okay. It also talks about being free as well, doesn't it? And then it goes on to talk
Yeah.
about having your identity stolen by your bank, which is really weird. Um, and then it says it kind of ends on the note saying that after you've read all this, if anybody from Hollywood is reading this and they they think it's a great screenplay, you can email us at buyagreatscreenplay@valvesoftware.com. Very peculiar. It
Okay.
is very odd. But yeah, the reviews are overwhelmingly positive. Well, are you surprised? It's a Valve game, and the system requirements, unsurprisingly, seem to
Very
mirror that.
modest.
Well, yes, and they also seem to mirror that of the Steam Deck. Are you surprised as well?
Shock.
Um, you you can play it on a PC. It works perfectly fine on a PC. You do need, however, to have a controller. It is
You
not
do, yeah.
designed for keyboard and mouse. But yeah, fantastic. I mean, some of the reviews are really funny. Somebody's put Game of the Year. 10 out of 10. I do not own a Steam Deck. That's brilliant.
But like the game anyway.
But it's very good. But yes, that is out now. So the Steam Deck is coming soon. So expect more reviews as more of them drop.
Yeah, so
Okay
the
then.
initial reviews have been very good, though it's not quite finished, they've said, but they have been very encouraging.
Yeah, I was going to say there was one I saw earlier was about stick drift. Valve have said that it is a bug and they've already addressed it in a patch. So I guess they're
It's
moving
just
quickly
software,
here, aren't
yeah.
they? Actually, wasn't there another one as well around? They were partnering with iFixit for replacement parts, weren't they?
Yes, you'll be able to get all of the parts as spares from iFixit, officially endorsed, with
But
full
there was a,
guides on how to
but
do them.
yeah, but there wasn't there a comment though from one of the Steam people saying that some of the bits should be left to pros to repair.
Yeah, but I suppose what's a pro? Is it me or you? Is it somebody better at this than me and you? I don't know. They weren't that specific.
No, no, I guess that's covering themselves, isn't it? When you kill your Steam Deck.
Yeah, exactly.
So then, let's talk about Intel. And I don't know if you caught President Biden's State of the Union address last night,
I
from the
did not.
US.
No.
Did you? Ah, then you won't know who one of the special guests of the First Lady was then.
No.
Hint, intel, nudge, nudge.
Oh, was it Mr. Gelsinger?
It was Pat Gelsinger was a guest of yes, the First Lady of the United States in
Oh.
the for the State of the Union address. Yeah, he had a bit of a round of applause there, and lots of pictures on Twitter of going, "Is that Pat?" But yeah, so we spoke about at length last week, didn't we?
Meteor
Around
Lake and other bits and pieces, didn't we, last
we did.
week?
So the one of the roadmaps then has leaked for Arrow Lake, hasn't it? Which is the 15th gen CPU
It's the
set.
one after Meteor Lake, yeah.
It is indeed, and there has been, as I say, a leak around this. So as a was it Adored TV is the user who's leaked it via the
Yeah.
CCF tech site, which is showing what apparently appears to be a 33 nanometer technology set, which is TSMC's, isn't it?
Yeah. CPU and GPU done by TSMC.
It is indeed, and a timeline of saying that engineering samples ready by late 22, early 23 with QS chips, and final production in the third quarter of 23, and ready to ship by Q4 23. So these are some way off realistically.
There you are. I
But
mean, Arrow Lake's designed to be their laptop one, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, it says they're prioritizing mobile chips over desktop, focusing on that energy efficiency, while aiming to deliver better performance. And there are some initial specs, aren't there? 6 performance cores, 8 efficiency cores, and 320 GPU cores, because of course this will have the Arc GPU built into it. And it's going to be that same tile chiplet design we spoke about last week, which they're using in Meteor Lake.
yeah, and the kind of the view here is that this is, well, some of the comments I should say, is this is an M1 beta. Well, yeah, it probably is an M1 beta given the state of play. But if it drops in Q4 23, Apple are going to be on the road to M3 surely at that stage, are they not?
Yeah, I don't know. It really depends what they're saying by an M1 beta. I think Intel's latest CPUs I would probably class as an M1 beta in pure performance, but not necessarily power performance.
Well, no, because the latest i9s, according to Intel's own benchmarks, and again, we take those with a pinch of salt,
Yeah,
they're claiming that the new i9s are running faster than the M1 Max, if I recall, isn't it? But
they're probably using
the
3 or 4 times the power.
well, as I say, the TDP on them is much, much higher. But that's where Apple are succeeding here, is that they're just sipping the juice, and we've seen that, across the board from reviewers up and down the tech stack, from daily users to power users, saying that battery life is just phenomenal on the Apple Silicon devices because the efficiency of those chips and that the stock makeup, isn't it, is what's the winner here, and the Intel just can't seem to get past that because they don't have control of that whole entire infrastructure. They're only looking at the chipset.
Indeed, yeah.
But
But did you
it
spot
would
the
be
other tidbit on that slide?
no. Go on.
They
What
talked
was the
about
bit that?
they talked about Lunar Lake.
Oh no, I must have missed that. I must have glassed over
It
that
was only
bit.
a tidbit. It basically just said, "Yeah, Lunar Lake is the next one." No further details.
Lunar Lake. I wonder
Yeah,
where Lunar Lake is. Is that just a
it's got to be a real place on the planet, hasn't it? Intel
on
usually
the
name
moon?
after locations.
I mean, realistically though, it is going to be um it is going to be, as you say, as fast or as not, or as efficient as the current Apple Silicon designs.
Yeah,
But they're still playing catch up because if you're comparing it apples to apples, that's 2 generation shift, isn't it? By the time those come out
yeah,
towards 2024, you know, Apple Silicon is 2020. Sorry, the M1. So by the time we get to a Q4 release of 23, Apple realistically could be shipping M3 chips, or at least could be M2 plus, i.e. Max or Pro, whatever the lineup is there, and looking ahead. So we're going to see massed improvements as well in their chipset design. Well, at least we'd expect to. I agree.
yeah.
It just seems that people are clutching at straws
But
here, and I know
Intel
that we
Intel aren't
got.
stupid, and I was Pat. I imagine they're not aiming for M1 beating performance today. I presume they're aiming to beat whatever they envision Apple has built by then.
But unless you've got the inside track here, which they have, haven't they? Because as we talked about a couple of weeks back, one of their latest hires, wasn't it, was one of the guys who had helped architect the whole of the M1 or the Apple Silicon transition.
Yeah, exactly.
So they, not to step into the realms of, confidentiality. I'm guessing I'm sure they're not breaching that, but they're certainly going to have a good understanding of what the long term roadmap could look like, and where or where not the improvements or the changes are going to be in the Apple lineup. Now, of course, Apple's subject to change. They could do things differently, and of course, Intel could make some breakthroughs in that space somehow. I doubt, given the long lead times in getting to that stage, and the fact of where they're talking 3 nanometer at this stage, they're not even off 7 nanometer yet. So it is a gamble, isn't it? Really?
It is, and actually, to add to this, nowhere in the actual Intel slide does it say they're trying to beat an M1.
No, that's the
I think you'll
speculation
find
from.
that's 9 to 5 Mac have added that one in. It
I think
just
they
says
have
they're
done.
targeting to compete with Apple's 14-inch premium designs.
Again, it's speculation, isn't it? Absolute
Yeah,
speculation.
I think that's a headline bit there.
I think what we take away from this is that Intel's 15th gen chips are going to start to gain, the improvements in the efficiency of the core makeup. They're going to be on a lower nanometer, so if they're going to be able to drive, hopefully, more power efficiency through that way as well. But we can't compare to something that Apple yet haven't dropped. So we have to
No,
compare to the current lineup. But
well,
again,
we can't
this
because
this is
Intel haven't dropped this yet
no, but
either.
this is
So
just yeah, this is just paper, isn't it? These are just
it is.
benchmarks on a
It's
paper.
just a roadmap for 3 years in the future or 2 years in the future, whatever it's going to be, and pure speculation.
Yes, but speculation sells papers, as they say, isn't
Maybe it should have been in the rumor mill.
it? I don't know. Well, it could have been, but given the state of play was the last updates from
Yeah.
Intel and everything, it just seemed reasonable to drop that one in. But anyway, given the state of where Apple is next week, but we'll move on. We'll move on. So moving away then from Mr. Gelsinger and his exceptionally large roadmap, and of course all of the money he's been spending recently. Zendesk have been in the news this week with an acquisition of their own, which seems to have gone slightly pear shaped. I wasn't aware of this, till you raised this in the show notes.
No, to
This
be
one
honest,
slipped me
I
by.
wasn't either. Yeah, they apparently ended their plans to buy Momentive, who are the owners of SurveyMonkey, after their stockholders rejected the deal. Now, the deal was worth what, $4.1 billion, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
So if you
so reading into this, it seems that the stockholders weren't happy with the proposal to kind of issue shares of Zendesk common stock as part of the deal. I don't think they had a problem with the cash part; they just didn't want to dilute their own shares.
No, I mean, if by the way, if you'd said to me SurveyMonkey, I'd have been like, but when it was Momentum, it was like, who? you know?
Yeah, I think
um,
we've probably all used SurveyMonkey at some point.
yeah, I was just gonna say, who hasn't used SurveyMonkey or had a SurveyMonkey link sent to them to fill out? I think I did one this afternoon actually for something at work.
Okay,
So yeah, it is everywhere, isn't it? And it's a great tool. Uh, Monetizing it is probably interesting. I've not ever paid for it. I'm assuming people do pay for it, given
I
the fact that
presume
there's
there's a premium
capability.
tier there somewhere.
But yeah, Zendesk. So an interesting fit, given that Zendesk is all around customer engagement, isn't it? Customer
It is,
workflows,
yeah,
um, customer experience, isn't it? All of that kind of space. They did use. Well, Zendesk have come from the IT service management world, haven't they? Of
yeah,
basically ticketing and IT desks,
of course,
but
yeah.
today have moved into a more of a,
Customer
as we say,
experience.
yeah, exactly, customer experience place. Competing with the likes of people like Salesforce, ServiceNow, Pegasystems, those kind of companies that offer that kind of capability and workflows there today. So interesting. I'm not sure where SurveyMonkey sits in that. Funnily enough, how would you bring
No.
that in? Would you bring it into, I guess, MPS, or CSAT, customer satisfaction? Is that kind of what they were trying to build in here? I'm puzzled by it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't know. So it was a bit of an odd one. I said I completely missed the news of it originally, so a bit of a surprise when it failed.
Yeah, and the other thing is that I hadn't realised as well is that Zendesk themselves were prized to be taken over from private equity, weren't they? I don't know
Yes,
if you
they
saw
were
that.
as well for
17
17 or
billion.
18 billion.
Yeah, 17, 18 billion. There was a consortium of private equity organizations put a bid basically into buy Zendesk, but the board there rejected it, saying that it undervalued the organization. So curious and curiouser, I say, on one hand you're getting kind of tapped up to be bought yourselves, and on the other hand you're trying to buy companies that your own board doesn't want to do. It does seem that the
Some
Zendesk
odd
board,
moves.
the Zendesk board is very clearly set in the ways of what they want and where they feel the company is going, and going to be sold to a private equity firm is certainly not something they want. But yeah,
Well, not at that price anyway.
well, no, I'm curious to know what they do value themselves at. To be honest with you, I mean, are they publicly listed, Zendesk? I don't know if they are. I'd have to look it up.
Don't know.
Let's have a quick look. Zendesk. They are, yes, an American company, founded. Yes, here we go.
$124 a stock.
Yeah. Not bad, I suppose,
Yeah.
I I mean, to be honest with you, they've bought quite a few different companies over the years. I mean, again, they've made acquisitions themselves around things like customer service agencies, live customer chat, which again fits in with that whole customer experience piece, doesn't it? So I do wonder, like you say, whether or not this could have fitted in with, I suppose, customer satisfaction and those kind of stuff. Who knows? But it's not happening.
Interesting to
That is the
know.
truth.
Their market cap is only 15 billion.
Oh, I like that. So your market cap's 15 billion. We're going to come in over the top for 2 billion. We're going to put 2 billion on top to ice the cake a little bit. No, we're worth way more than that.
I want 30.
Yeah, well, I'm afraid your shareholders have got a different view clearly on that around it. Okay, fair enough. You don't, never mind. Good luck, Zendesk, whatever it may be. But clearly, SurveyMonkey is not going to your home.
No, it's not. It's not.
So then, Carl.
So, yeah. Last week we spoke about that Nvidia. What was it? LHR V2 unlocker.
My mining unlocker. Yes. Come on, tell me what.
Which was there was meant to be released on the 26th, wasn't it? A day or two after our podcast, and it was released. Oh yeah, it's turned out to be malware.
Hang on a minute. Oh, I should have. Wait for it. I need. Where is it? Wait for it. Hang on. This is the right one. Is it working? There we go. Game over.
So they released the MSI for you to download while they prepared their public servers to download the special drivers from. Yeah, the MSI contained malware, infecting PowerShell. It's not too malicious so far, but it basically modified PowerShell to allow it to execute unsigned scripts, excluded itself and a couple of directories for Windows Defender scans. It seems to contain some kind of, the irony, crypto mining code. But yeah, so far it just seems to be sitting there. Nothing malicious has happened, but I imagine it's probably just lying in wait for commands to be sent to us. But now the GitHub page has been deleted, obviously. So yeah, not surprised.
No, not surprised at all. I mean, we kind of had speculation that didn't seem right, didn't it, at the time? It just was a little too.
It was out the blue,
in a sense. Yeah, it was out the blue. Some of the comments were around, didn't sound good. The people were concerned about what it might be, and the reality is, yes, it is fake. And anybody that's installed it, well, bad luck, because as you say, it probably wasn't what you wanted to have in your system. Having somebody else use your system for mining, which is quite ironic.
Well, it unlocked someone's hash rate limiter.
yeah, that's a fair point, I suppose. Technically speaking, I guess you're right. If you've got an Nvidia card in there,
no lies.
Yeah, no, not at all. It is doing mining. You know, it is. I don't know. There's a whole raft of things here, isn't there, that are wrong with this. And
there are.
If you're a gamer who can't get hold of a card, you're going to be laughing because you're like, "Ha, silly miners!" And then the miners are like, "Well, I've paid good money for this card. Actually, I wish to use it." I just look. It is what it is, and hope it's gone down now. It's been taken down, isn't it? So it's not available anymore.
But I imagine it seems there was some more Nvidia news.
Well, I was just going to say, if you want to do mining, probably the next card is probably the one you want, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, Nvidia got hacked earlier in the week.
Oh, they did. Yes, that's a fair point.
They did by the Lapsus $ group. Is that just an S at the end? Lapsus? I don't know. Anyway, they got
Lapsus,
affected
yes.
by some ransomware. I think this gang, they seem to be a Brazilian-based gang. They came on the scene in, I think, December. They hacked the Ministry of Health in Brazil and stole 50 terabytes of data. But yeah, it seems that they've had access to NVIDIA's servers for over a week. They gained admin access. They pulled at least a terabyte of data, including schematics and driver source code. And they are basically demanding a ransom, as well as Nvidia removing the hash rate limiters from their cards, providing a workaround to the general public as part of their ransom. And if Nvidia don't, are they going to start releasing source code? Well, it
Nvidia
seems
themselves,
Nvidia
though,
didn't.
as I say, Nvidia have made a statement saying they are aware of this, though, aren't they? They
They
have.
are, yeah, they have confirmed it is a real hack, and clearly they haven't paid because the Lapsus group have actually started releasing stuff already. They've released the GPU code names for 6 of the next GPUs, which include obviously Ada, which we know about, Lovelace, Hopper, and Blackwell, which seem to be data center parts. They've released a full source code for NVIDIA's DLSS, which is their AI upscaling tool. And
Right.
they promised a lot more to come, including something called, where was it? Falcon.
Falcon.
Yeah, Falcon. Whatever that is, but they're not releasing information on Falcon yet. So whether it's some big surprise and Nvidia had planned, don't know.
I mean, the point here, especially companies like Nvidia, you do not pay ransoms.
No.
So there was no way Nvidia were going to pay a ransom for this. They also, being a public company, have the well, not like every company, they have the right of disclosure. They have to disclose it, don't they? Because of it, and considering that there could be personal information or proprietary information, especially around the shareholding, they'd have to release that as well. But it is a dangerous move to pay or not to pay, given the fact, as you say, they could be releasing proprietary information around their lineups, their product launches, source codes, as you say. It's a dangerous move, isn't it? Whether you want to cover that or whether it goes out into the wider world. And in this case, Nvidia are taking, I guess, the moral stance of saying no. We're not going to negotiate. Nope. We're not going to pay, but things are releasing out.
It's a tricky one.
It is a tricky one, and I think they've done the right thing, despite it being clearly very painful for them.
Yeah.
I like what was one of the the demand? Yeah, that demand around the condition that Nvidia permanently make its GPU drivers open source.
Basically, give us the solution to bypass the hash rate limiter for mining.
Basically, it is absolutely
as part of our ransom.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, I mean, you could just read between the lines there, isn't it? It's just like, I don't know. It's very peculiar. But it's going to be painful for them. It is going to be painful.
I mean, if it's a terabyte of data, including drivers and schematics, somebody might well be able to uncover how to unlock that.
Yeah, they've not been having a good month, have they? Considering
no.
The whole piece around the ARM acquisition going pear shaped. Though they did go and replace Meta, didn't they, in the Nasdaq in terms of share price and market cap? They became very valuable.
Just because Meta had an even worse month.
Well, yeah, I didn't want to say that. But yeah, this definitely could cost them. But I don't know. I mean, what do you think? Do you think they're going to drop new product info? Does that, what's your view here?
Well, they're saying, and I think that really comes up in the next story we're going to talk about, but the rumor is the 4000 series are coming in September, or at least going to be announced in September. Which I think is what they did with the 3000. It was announced in September and you can start buying in October, if I remember rightly.
Okay. Well, that, I guess, does lead us then nicely into the next story then. Nvidia centered as well then. So,
I mean, yeah, you've got till September to buy yourself a big, fat power supply. Because the rumors are suggesting some kinds of crazy power numbers for the 4000 series cards. Basically, TDP as high as 800 watts.
That is
Jesus.
Unbelievable. I mean, that is the kind of power that like you say, I need a new power supply that's can run it. Secondly,
maybe you need a separate PSU, just one for your graphics card.
Well, yeah, and I was just going to say, I probably won't ever need to put any heating on in where my gaming PC lives. I could probably put that
Yeah.
center of my house and like heat my house with that. I mean, that is absolutely absurd, is it
I
not?
mean, Nvidia got stick when they released the 3000, and the TDP on that is 350 watt, I believe. So this is kind of way out there if it's even remotely true. And obviously, I presume the 800 watt is only at full power for a 4090 Ti or whatever it's going to be called, not some of the lower ones. But still, that's a lot, especially
That
in today's age where power is very expensive at the moment.
Well, I was just going to say, and in some countries and some places, you're probably not going to be able to run that, are you? Particularly at the moment. Oh, well, actually, the UK, given that at the moment, what we're saying here in the UK, the cost of power at the moment, obviously in part to some of the things that are happening, that's not helping the situation. But before that, power prices had been going up, hadn't they, exponentially here?
They
Uh,
have been, yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's not going to be. Yeah, we'll have a. You can have 3 minutes of gaming this afternoon, and yeah, and we can only play in the winter so that that excess heat can be funneled back into your house. It's just
Yeah,
crazy.
it might get to that. That's a lot.
I mean, that is absolutely absurd. I mean, those cars have been getting bigger and bigger, though, haven't they? You know,
Oh yeah, they have
the
been.
slot. I mean, the slots on them. You know, the reference card for the 30 series showed that kind of X pattern, wasn't it? That
Well, that's
had
what I've got. I've
the
got the
large.
3070 Ti, and actually, in all fairness, that's smaller than my previous 2070.
Have you
My
got a reference
2070,
one though, or is yours?
yeah, I got a reference one as the 3070. My
Okay.
2070 was it an MSI card?
Yeah, I think yes.
Yeah, but it was the one for big triple fan kind of thing. So that was a fairly big heatsink on that.
Double backing plate job as well. Obviously these days, isn't it?
Yeah,
You know.
of course.
Well, yeah. I mean, soon it'll be like install graphics card, lose all of the slots in your case. Uh,
We're going back to extended ATX just so we can fit the fit the GPU as well as some extra cards in there.
yes, I mean, and it'll probably require what 3 or 4 power connectors on it as well, just to suck the juice in.
Oh, there's that
Um,
new PCI Express 5 power connector, isn't there, which can
well,
provide
that's the
something like
whole
I don't know,
yeah, the new
1,000
whole
watts
reason
or whatever.
the new PCU thing though, isn't it? But yeah, well, that's the 1200 watt rating, isn't it, for those PCI fives and above? I mean, that
Yeah.
again is ridiculous. A 1200 watt PSU in my PC.
I think it's mine at the moment. I think I might only have a. I want to say it's an 800 watt. Maybe not even, might not even be that. 600 watt, maybe. I can't
600
remember.
watt was pretty common, let's be honest, wasn't it?
Yeah, I can't actually remember what it is.
I mean, 600 watt, and then reality was, how often were you really pulling on that? Maybe intense gaming periods, but most of the
Yeah.
time, a couple of 100 watts,
I
really
mean,
because the CPU was
yeah,
stripping it.
mine feeds real time data up to my Stream Deck, and obviously it tells me real time what wattage I'm doing. But I've never really seen it go more than 350, 400 watt as the total PC.
Yeah, exactly.
It's currently pulling 128 watt.
If you're chewing 1200 watts, I've got questions.
There's some overclocking going on, surely at this point.
Overclocking. I mean, what are you powering? Have you got like a Tesla at the front that you've plugged into it or something? So, well then, talking of gaming, then one of the things that we've mentioned before here is, and we're big fans of course, is the Game Pass, and we spoke, I think a couple of months
Ooh.
ago,
Well, yeah, had
around
to be.
around the PlayStation offering, wasn't it, of the rival to Game Pass that PlayStation, or Sony, I should say, were considering. Well, some more details have come out now around the Sony, what we call it, Game Pass equivalent. Have they got a snappy name for it yet? I don't think they have they?
Well, it's what's it called? I know it's Essential, Extra, and Premium are the bands.
Well, you get PlayStation Now today, and you get PlayStation Plus, don't you? So they're kind of
You do,
amalgamating those
yeah.
together, isn't it? So
They
PlayStation Now
are.
Plus, Plus Now,
Maybe. Plus
but,
now.
but yeah. So what? So they've got 3 tiers then. So what were the tiers again, Carl? They were
So we have Essential, which is $10.
yep.
And it's basically what is currently PlayStation Plus. So it gives you that that access to play online games as well as a couple of free games every month. I'm not sure how many free games you get on PlayStation. Is it 2, 4? I think it's 4 on Xbox Live, isn't it? Or Gold. Not sure, but yeah, you get a couple of free games a month. Then you've got the extra band, which is $13 and gets you everything's in Essential, as well as a game catalog of hundreds of older games that you can download. So the back catalog, PS2 free games. And then finally, you've got the Big Daddy Premium. It's $16, where you get all the perks of Extra, obviously, along with access to PS Now streaming capabilities and a library of classic games, as well as, you ready for this?
Go on.
Early access to game trials before they're released. Are you blown away?
I am blown away. So basically, you're giving me access to demos.
But earlier than
Oh
other
yes, sorry.
Immortals.
You're giving me early access to early access demos. Brilliant, brilliant.
Yeah, yeah.
I did check my notes. Sorry, it's called Codename Spartacus. That's the name of it.
Ah, Spartacus, yes.
A snappy title. So yes, so for anywhere from $10
Mm,
to $16 a month, then you too could gain no exclusives, basically. Some older games and which they've already got. Oh, and
yeah.
yes, you're going to get some demos.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, as you kind of alluded to there, there's basically saying it's unlikely that Sony will add new first-party exclusives to the service on day one, like Microsoft does. And their CEO Jim Ryan previously said that it basically wasn't sustainable to put new releases that cost hundreds of millions of the dollars to develop into a subscription service.
That you can read what you want there, but I think that reads to me as we are not going to compete here.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Or,
Well,
or,
not even on the pricing, it's not competing.
or we
is it?
cannot compete. Or we cannot compete here.
No, I think it's we cannot compete.
We are going to cater to our loyal fan base.
Milk them for everything they're worth.
With a crap offering that we know they're going to pay for, and we're just going to put our fingers in our ears and ignore any complaints, isn't it? Really?
Maybe they'll throw some NFTs in there.
Oh God, yes, we all have an NFT. Please, for the love of God, do not do that. But yeah, it just seems nuts that if they don't add first party exclusives, because that's one of the whole draws with Game Pass.
At least to the premium, to the top tier title.
Oh God, yeah, please do it, because you want to give somebody something they feel. You want to give your customers at least the feeling that we're getting something valuable for this, and that fact with Game Pass is you get first party exclusives, don't you? They drop. You feel like, oh wow, I'm getting that. Forza Horizon 5 is a great example of that, isn't it?
Yep.
That dropped
Flight
first
sim.
party. Yeah, exactly. You feel like I'm doing something. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. This is great. My money, my hard earned cash, I'm getting something good for it. But if you're doing that on the Sony side, and I don't know what's the new Sony game. Let's say Gran Turismo 7 has just dropped, hasn't it?
It has just dropped, yeah.
Which actually, by the way, looks phenomenal. I must say,
It does look very good.
It really does look amazing. More photorealistic than Horizon. But it always has been.
But then its competitor, I suppose, is Motorsport, isn't it? So we are waiting for Motorsport 8. So it'll be interesting to see how that compares.
Definitely. But imagine if you let's just say Spartacus is live and you're paying your $16 a month or whatever it might be at this stage. You're thinking, oh, that'd be awesome. And imagine if they dropped Gran Turismo 7, you get access to that as it. How many more people are going to probably sign up to pay for that?
Day one, or even like Horizon, earlier than day one.
Yeah. They would probably make more money doing that than they would do in people buying on day of release. It's the market is there for it. The whole subscription side of things is where everything is going to, isn't it?
And gamers will pay for it.
Yeah, of course you will. And
but they're going to pay for it, so why give them all that extra if they'll pay for it anyway?
Well, yeah, okay, yeah. And Sony haven't been particularly generous in their offerings before, have they? So, yeah. Why change
No, I mean, just look at the whole debacle about crossplay.
Well, yes, like I say, why change the habit of a lifetime? But yes, I guess so. From one side of generosity, though, to another, our good friend, old Elon Musk, Mr. SpaceX.
Yep.
Him and his brother, then they're in a bit of hot water with the Securities and Exchange Commission over in the US, and a bit of insider trading. Well, I'll stress very clearly: alleged insider in trading.
Yes, alleged.
Highly alleged, but yes, the Elon Musk again with his tweeting around stock. Oh my God! I mean, what does this man?
It's always bloody Twitter, isn't it?
It is. Twitter is I don't know what it is. It's clearly it's the bane of everybody's existence.
Just put Twitter down. It's fine.
Step away from the keyboard. 240 characters. So what has it done this time then? Because I'm not. It's just nuts.
So yeah, this was late last year, and basically they got their attention because him and his brother sold what was $108 million worth of Tesla shares. But the sale happened the day before Elon Musk put a poll on Twitter asking his followers about whether he should sell 10% of
Oh
his
yeah,
stake
I
in the
remember this.
company.
Yeah,
And he
that's
promised to
right.
abide by the poll's results. And this was sent to do with using the money to pay off tax or something along those lines. But anyway, the poll closed. 57.9% of the 3.5 million participants had voted yes, sell. And obviously, the Tesla stock price fell very sharply at that point. Yes, but obviously, Kimball Musk, Elon's brother, obviously sold some there. He sold 88,000 shares on the same day as Elon did, the day before this poll. And he's also on the board of directors for Tesla.
Yeah.
It doesn't look good, does it?
Well, no, and I guess the argument from the SEC here, though, isn't it, is whether or not potentially, or if we say what the SEC will be looking at, more to the point, is did he have knowledge of that poll? Wasn't it? Is that something that he was aware of? And if by that poll, was he set to gain? Wasn't it? I guess is
Well,
the
Elon
point here.
must have had an idea of the poll.
Well, he must have had a rough idea of where that was going to go, wasn't it? Because he didn't. Did he sell off? How much did he didn't sell off 10%, did he? I don't think, did it?
He sold an awful lot.
He did, but again, he's made off. I mean, he's not exactly short of a few bob because Elon Musk. I mean, what's it? A couple of was it 220 billion or something? And
Yeah, I think a lot of that those shares, isn't it? And from
oh
reading before, a lot of it's tied up in shares, and he had to borrow money to be able to buy the shares, to sell the shares because they're not free shares. They're get to pay a reduced price from or whatever
it,
on those lines.
yeah, it is all very. I mean, you're right. His current net worth is 236 billion or something. I think obviously fluctuates, doesn't it, left, right, and centre.
Yeah.
And you're right.
How much is cash on hand is a different matter, isn't it?
But he is, I guess according to rich lists, wherever you may look, he is the richest human being on the planet.
Wow.
More than Mr. Bezos, or Jeff Amazon.
Yep.
He's only worth. I mean, this must hurt. He's only worth 179 billion, or give or take.
Oh, poor Jeff.
I mean, how can you? I don't know how he sleeps at night. It must be difficult.
In his giant rocket.
Excuse me. Yes. Just that is. Every time I see that, I can only think of what's
One
it?
thing.
Oh, no! Why is it gone? Oh, help me! Why can't I think of the parody of James Bond? Austin Powers.
Austin Powers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
baby.
I don't know why I couldn't get. I was just stuck on my tongue. I couldn't get it out. As all I can think about is the scene in Austin Powers. Where the rocket launches and they have all the gags, don't they? With
They do, yeah.
That's all. Every time I see that, that's it. Blue Origin, you have failed in your marketing because that's probably not what you wanted. But
No,
what
definitely not.
happened to the days of when Bill Gates was the richest man in the world and he had several billion. And
Long
now we're
gone.
talking into the to the several hundred billions. But yeah, you're right. It's all electronic. It's all paper money, isn't it? None of it's real.
It is, yeah.
But
It's not Scrooge McDuck kind of giant vaults of cash that he just swims in.
no, not at all. I think those days have gone, haven't they? Since the Rockefellers and all those kind of people that were really cash rich. But yeah, I mean, this isn't new for him. He also tweeted on the 23rd of February when somebody said about tweeted him saying starting a fight with the SEC is not a good look. Elon replied with, "I didn't start the fight, but I'll finish it." The man does love a good argument, and he's controversial is probably an understatement. I think he is the. I think Jeff Amazon is kind of the billionaire that used the money and turned his life around. Elon Musk is kind of like the not evil genius, but not far off it, is he? Billionaire.
There's something there, isn't there?
They've all. I mean, as we've said before, the thing today is if you are a billionaire or uber rich, it is not like how big is your yacht; it's how big is your rocket, isn't it? that's the way.
Oh yes.
But I know we said we wouldn't talk about the Ukraine situation, but there was one thing out of interest that does come to mind, though Elon Musk did this week, and it just very related in some respects is around Starlink, isn't it? That they repositioned some of the Starlink satellites over Ukraine, and he shipped over a load of infrastructure to allow them
Terminals.
to
Yep.
access the internet. So taking away his slightly eccentricity and controversy, that certainly was a very positive move from him anyway.
It was.
But yes, Elon and the SEC is just like, I don't know, angry wasps in a bag that you throw into somebody's somebody's car and laugh. It's not a good look. So Apple then, before we talk about the Apple event, Apple themselves have put out a weird patent, or should I say this week, but they filed a weird patent which looks to be kind of reinventing something that's already been released. I mean, not that they've done that before, have they?
Yeah, I mean, the patent 202200578445, snappily named, describes a computer in an input device. Now, if you're thinking, well, our older listeners are thinking, where have I seen this before? They're basically describing a ZX Spectrum, or a Commodore 64, or Atari, or an Amstrad. But you know the old ones with the big clunky mechanical keyboards. You plug all the bits into the back because it was built into the keyboard. That's basically what they've put in their patent application, isn't it?
It is indeed. And this patent application, I don't know if you went off and had a look at it, I did, was filed on the 2nd of August 2021.
Okay. That's after the Raspberry Pi Foundation released the Pi 400 then, yeah?
Yes. So, yes, as you've alluded to, this effectively looks like what our younger listeners may recognize today, as you say, as the Raspberry Pi 400, the enclosed computer in a keyboard, isn't it, really? But for those of us of a certain age, the word ZX Spectrum, Commodore, Amstrads, Ataris, that's where we're kind of thinking here, isn't it? The classic
It is,
computer with
it was a computer that era.
Yeah, which is basically how computers turned up, didn't they? I mean, my Atari ST520 was exactly like that. But it does look like very much they have got what I've got in front of me here. I've got an Apple keyboard in front of me here. Mine's got the keypad on the side of it, but the kind of the drawings that they've published is the kind of the, I guess, the cut down version, isn't it, without the keypad? Slightly thickened on the sort of the vertical, and I can only assume must be inside it is probably a Apple Silicon sock, and there you go. That's what they're kind of talking about here, isn't it? This is not new.
I'm not sure it's going to pass.
I don't know how you can patent something that blatantly has been released before.
Many times over by many companies.
I mean, how does it work? Obviously, I know it works, but what I mean is that how can they get away with it? It's just hilarious. The drawings are also quite funny because they're quite crude. Or patent drawings always are quite crude, aren't they?
Yeah.
The screen looks like a flat screen monitor from like 2002.
Go on, Apple. Please release that screen as your new cinema display.
Yeah. Like some dodgy some flat screen from, let's say, back in the early 2000s. There's a magic mouse next to it, and then this fatter Apple keyboard. But there isn't really much to go on, though, is there, in terms of what the abstract is? The abstract says it's a computing device can include an enclosure that defines an internal volume and external surface. And it goes on to talk around a processing unit of memory can be commutatively coupled and disposed with that internal surface. There is singular input-output ports. Oh, basically, you just have described a computer.
USB-C.
Yeah, you've just described a computer. Oh, apparently it has a thermally conductive base and ability
and include an air-moving apparatus.
That's the one. Yes,
along
that's
an
it.
Airflow pathway. You mean a fan?
I
love the terminology they use in these things.
Yeah, I mean, okay, Apple, the first Apples when they came out, if we go back into the 80s, they were similar design, weren't they? They were without the screen that came as an additional peripheral. They were the larger devices. The first Apple obviously didn't have an enclosure; you built your own. But the later devices started to bring that together, and of course, then they had the Macintosh or the Lisas and the Macintoshes. But considering that this has been done before, there is, like, say, the Raspberry Pi 400 that's out there already. It just seems to me you can't patent the existing design, but Apple seem to think you can.
We will see.
Well, I suppose that when Apple release anything, I mean, most of their technology exists in one form or another, does it not?
Well, yeah, I suppose so. Nothing's truly ever revolutionary.
No, it's I suppose the mechanism to it, and there must be something that we can't see in that patent application that gives it a unique edge, uh, or not maybe. I don't know. But yes,
Yeah.
coming soon to an Apple event near you will be the brand new Apple Spectrum ZX 2023. Not. Would you buy it?
So would I buy it?
Yeah, would you buy it?
No, it's going to be running Mac OS, isn't it?
Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to insult you. I suppose so. I mean, this is in some respects no different to a Mac Mini, is it?
No, I'm just trying to think where I'd use it.
Well, yeah, who would buy it? But is it the same market as the Mac Mini people who don't want like an iMac? You've got your own screen and other peripheral, I
This is
state, because you've got a
true.
keyboard.
Yeah, I think so. If you want to use your own displays, your own peripherals, then definitely. I think for me personally, it's not going to be quick enough for what I use my main machine for, which is gaming.
No,
So yeah, probably not for me. But I could still see it selling.
well, like most things with Apple on it, it'll sell probably, won't it? But Apple also move away from things when they get it wrong, though, don't they? Let's be honest, they're quite
They do,
quick to
yeah.
drop hot stone. Like a hot potato, hot stone. They'll move away from it. So who knows? This may be coming soon in the next several years, or we may never see it again because, as we have said before,
March the 8th.
Apple and other companies patent stuff or patent stuff all the time that never
They
sees the
do.
light of day. So this is not going to go in the rumor mill because at least to have a rumor, we'd like to have some credibility. This is just fantasy land, I suppose, more than anything.
I think so.
Right then. So actually, giving that where we are now, I think it is time indeed for the Tech Rant rumor mill. Then, Carl. So
It
what do we
is.
got this week in the bucket of fun?
Well, wow, there have been some leaks of the Pixel 7, some renders, and it's a Pixel 6. I
Okay.
mean, it looks identical.
Okay, that's not a bad thing, though, is it?
No, I think it's showing some consistency. Quite a lot of companies, Samsung, Apple, they go through cycles, don't they? They have one or two, and then they change the design. Whereas Google's always been a bit all over the place.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I mean, I had the Nexus. Prior to the Pixel, I had the Nexus phones. And obviously I had a Pixel 3a. I've got a Pixel 6 now.
Yep.
You're right. Consistency hasn't been the theme. I don't
No,
think.
there's never really been a consistent design language, has there?
No. It's been much like is Google are releasing a new phone. The common denominator
Could
is
be anything.
the phone. Yeah.
It's going to have a screen, possibly.
Yeah, that's probably about as good as it gets. But you're right. But the Pixel 6 has been quite. It's an evolution on the 5. The 6 design is quite good. I think a lot of people are happy with it. I'm personally
Yeah, I
very
like
happy
the
with
design.
it. But yeah, the renderings of the 7 do look like a 6, don't they? In fact, if you didn't know what it was, you would say a 6. I don't think there's anything
Well,
really to jump out.
exactly. Unfortunately, there was no further information other than that render. I mean, there was a whole long article on it, but it was just basically it's a Pixel 6.
But yeah, I mean, again, I guess we don't have details, so speculation. Continuity is a good thing. Start to show, as you say, some design language consistency there. I imagine then, in some respects, it'll be in improvements on the existing hardware, so they'll probably use their own chips, which they've been developing.
And the Mark II version of their own chip, yeah.
That's it. Yeah, they've been those 120 hertz screens on the Pros.
What was it called? Tensor?
Yes, I think it was. And you said that. I was gonna say that, but then I stopped myself because I thought that's not right. I think it
I'm
is.
pretty sure it's Tensor, yeah.
Yeah. So the same design. They will probably drop a 6A before they drop the 7 because they tend to do those incremental versions. So I expect a 6A.
Yep.
But again, they usually it's almost like a stepping stone, isn't it, to the next mode?
It is,
But yeah,
yeah.
I mean, what? Well done, Google. Actually, it is slightly boring, but that's not a bad thing. I think for a change, I think crazy designs are one thing. I'm looking at you, Samsung, LG, and all the rest of you. But yeah, not a bad thing. Samsung as well. If you look at their flagship phones, the S lineup, there is consistency there, isn't there? They just
There
seem to have an
is.
evolution on the things. And obviously, let's not talk about iPhones, but everybody else in the Android world either goes crazy or they stick with what works. And Google clearly have settled on a design that for them is where they want to be. So yeah,
Yeah.
see what they can go out with. But yeah, I'm
We'll
I'm
see.
not blown away, but that's not a bad thing.
No. Wow, the next one might blow you away.
Oh, come on, come
So,
on.
go on. There is talk from Ross Young. Is he a DSCC analyst? He's got a 100% track record.
Oh, this is the guy who hit the
The
displays,
display
isn't it?
guy.
Yeah, that's him. Yep,
Yeah.
yeah.
100% accurate record.
Well, that's because he's in the
I've
supply
linked.
chain.
Well, yes. But he's talking that Apple are basically sniffing around in discussions to be building a 20-inch foldable display of some sort. So, are we looking at a foldable MacBook or iPad or a hybrid of the two with a touchscreen keyboard? I don't know. It's yeah.
So when we say
This is way
foldable
out there.
20-inch screen, yeah, this is not for the next week's event. We'll stress that now.
No.
Are we saying like a foldable screen in the sense of it looks like a Mac, but when you open it up, there are two screens?
Well, yeah. The way I envision this is Microsoft announced as it was at the Surface Neo, wasn't it? We had the Duo, which is the phone,
Yes,
and then they
yes,
announced
that's
the
right.
Neo. Then they scrapped that, didn't they? But my vision is it's an Apple Mac version of that.
But so that, if I remember rightly, that had a physical keyboard, didn't it? But then like another
But that was an
screen above the
add-on.
keyboard.
It was basically one big screen that folded in half. And if you didn't put the keyboard attachment on, you could use the bottom part as
Okay.
a touch bar, or not a touch bar, a trackpad, and a virtual keyboard. Or you could stick the keyboard on. If you put it at the bottom, and the top bit became a giant touch bar like the Macs had. Or if you put the keyboard at the top, the bottom bit became a giant touchpad.
Okay. That was much smaller though, wasn't it? That was what, 12 or 13 inches, I'm guessing. I don't.
Yeah, but that was the laptop form factor, wasn't it? The screen would have been bigger than that.
20 inches though is huge. That's desktop screen size.
But if you chop that in half because it's a laptop form factor, then it's what is that, a 13-inch maybe?
Okay, maybe. I mean, look, they've just got rid of the touch bar. Unless they're what they're going to do, physical virtual.
Now you're going to just get one giant touch bar.
And this is where I'm like, oh no. And I said to you as we were talking when we were reviewing the show notes, until somebody can design a virtual keyboard that has haptic feedback, it's never going to work because people like to have tactile keyboards, don't they? You like to feel what you're typing. You know what it's like. If you've tried to type for a long time on an iPad without keyboard, it's just you can't do it. It isn't. You have to be a fantastic typist, I guess, to carry it
It's
off.
It's not even the haptic. There's no give.
No, there's nothing to. Yeah, you're right. There's no response, is there? In that sense, I mean,
You're just hitting a hard surface.
Yeah, and that's why the keyboard on my iPad is not the current generation, the older generation one. Okay, well, it isn't brilliant. At least there's something there. When I type, there's feedback, albeit rubbish feedback, but I can type properly.
The key has travel, doesn't it?
Yeah, and can you imagine? You know what it's like on your iPad or your phone? Oh my god, can you imagine trying to clean this thing? that's where your Apple branded cleaning cloth comes in handy.
There's a plan, remember?
But yeah, I mean, look, foldable, unless it. And this is the other question I have here. When they talk about foldable, is the hinge going to be hidden behind it, like the Surface, the Duo, the Samsung? Where the crease is not part of the screen, because I don't think that tech is mature enough yet.
No, but mind you, Mark Gurman is backing him up. He's saying he also is reporting that Apple are indeed exploring a dual-screen foldable MacBook / iPad hybrid.
Carl, you and I could both speculate that they're exploring that. I don't doubt for a second they're exploring it, because why wouldn't they be? The reality is, though, is it mature enough for Apple to place their money on the table and say this is a great design, and can they guarantee that it's not going to have hardware failures the same way the Samsung's had? And especially of that size as well. That's the difference. It's one thing having a 6.7-inch screen times 2 that you fold out to a 20-inch screen where you've got 10 inches aside and the damage there. That's where the worry is. 5-6 years down the line, I don't reckon this is probably that.
Well, they're saying
impossible.
2026, so 4 years away.
Maybe
5 at a push. Maybe. I don't know. Interesting. quite different from. I suppose that would mean bringing touch input to Mac OS X,
Yeah, which is kind of the one thing they
which
said
I've
they
been
were
told
never
is
going to
never
do.
ever going to happen.
Yeah, because they're not going to cannibalize one for the other. They made that exceptionally clear without saying the words, haven't they?
Yeah.
So I mean, who knows? Who knows? But I guess on that point is probably a good place for us to say then we're going to wrap it up there for tonight. Next week we'll be back for episode 78 with our Apple show special because being an Apple show, being an Apple event next week, that means only one thing: Tech Rank goes Apple. So we'll be back with all of the latest news, lineups, information on what drops and what didn't drop as well. I suppose that's the other thing because
Yeah.
all the rumors we've been talking about we'll follow up on. But before then, if you want to listen to any of the back episodes of our show, you can go to techrant.online where you can find our whole back catalogue, all of our show notes information, and you can find us or tell your friends. We're on pretty much every platform there is out there. So wherever you get your podcast from, that's where you can find us. And I think that's probably it for tonight then, like I say. So I've been Jay.
I've been Carl. Have a good evening, all.